Let's watch some remarks from Biden that has MAGA triggered on X, Twitter, whatever you want to call it, as he recounts on his successes and accomplishments, specifically with judicial appointments, his of which dwarfs Trump both in experience and diversity, showing the true way to create structures that better represent America and then give better outcomes to Americans. So let's watch what he had to say and we can jump back in with the context.
I've appointed the most demographically diverse slate of judicial nominees ever in the history of America. That represents all of America and the best of America. There's numerous historic firsts. The first black woman in the United States Supreme Court. I made that promise and we kept it. More black women in the courts of appeals than every other previous administration in American history combined. Other historic firsts for Hispanic Americans, Asian Americans, Muslim Americans. The list goes on. But the point is, for the first time in a long, long time, we have a bench that looks like it represents all of America.
First black woman on the Supreme Court, Ketanji Brown Jackson, of whom is more than qualified, more than intelligent enough, and it's something that is long overdue. I mean, you can't tell me she's any less qualified than Roberts or Alito, both of which were gifted to us by George Bush. He could have given us the first African-American judicial appointment. He also, Biden that is, not Bush, definitely not Bush. Biden had the most diverse cabinet of all time in presidential history, of which we go through in this video here, showing every ethnic pick from Biden's cabinet is more qualified, most of them like 2 or 3 times more qualified than any Trump current appointment, yet MAGA will still try to call Biden's DEI hires and say that Trump has the greatest cabinet of all time. It literally makes no sense. He also appointed a historic number of ethnic judges, as he said, black female judges to the appeals court, also specifically making the judicial system itself better reflect America, thus giving more Americans better outcomes. This is part of the ways we start to reduce judicial bias that we see racially still in the system. It's important to note 2 things here. These races are still underrepresented. Anyone who tells you they're getting unfair treatment is probably racist or just paranoid that they're going to become the minority because of racist sentiments, right? And 2, if someone tells you that Biden is naming unqualified picks, that's why it's so diverse, tell them to name one. Like, just ask them on the spot, name a single one, please. Literally. And if they can name one, why hasn't any of the institutions, the nonpartisan legal institutions that rate judicial picks, why haven't any of them named them? So why do you know more than them, right? But these people can never name a single one. They probably they can't even name a single judicial appointment, let alone one that they think is unqualified. And that's the biggest self-report of them all, because it means they just see black people getting chosen and they assume that they have to be less qualified without ever doing any checking.
Well, I mean, I know this room is probably the only room that fully would understand and comprehend that. And folks, I know they'll continue to uphold our nation's founding principles of liberty, justice, equality, and do it for decades to come. As we say in my own neighborhood, it's a big deal. It's a big deal. And I, bless me, Father, for I have sinned. But all kidding aside, I'm really proud of the caliber, capacity, willingness, and the academic backgrounds.
And they will, like, in comparison to some of Trump's picks, you would think that MAGA would realize they have absolutely no ground to stand on when talking about qualifications, like as if they're the party with the moral high ground on this. But most of them probably don't even know, as they do no research, obviously. And it's only as if DEI can be for black people to them, I guess. White people can't get preferential treatment. I don't know. That's definitely impossible. Like, what about Matthew Peterson, the Trump nominee for a district DC court, who admitted he had never tried a case before and couldn't define basic legal jargon and had to withdraw himself? Or what about Brett Talley, who also never tried a case that Trump nominated for a district court in, I think, Alabama, and was a subject included and is most known for being in some pretty interesting headlines that pretty clearly reflect the man that Trump is, might I say. Now, to put a pin in this, the ABA is a nonpartisan legal organization with no ties, like they just do legal judicial stuff that rates, part of what their duties are to rate judicial nominees on the local and state and federal level and see how qualified they are. Biden's were rated, not a single one was deemed unqualified. Trump's was rated 10 unqualified. So again, these people are just arguing where they don't even have a ground to stand on, as Biden showed how you can clearly both diversify picks and get more than qualified candidates. Where, if anything, by diversifying, you're getting better versed and more qualified candidates in the virtue, right? Versus Trump, who went historically undiverse in his appointments and ended up with one of the most unqualified record of appointments in history. Like, you couldn't make this stuff up any better to be the clear-cut reason to just support diversity, right? Which is one reason why I just laugh at MAGA when they pretend that like DEI is the one picking less qualified candidates and that's what should be demonized, and diversifying just means you're getting and all of this nonsense, because like it's just another example of the oldest and most true adage in the world. Every accusation from a conservative is a confession.